The sky was black with feathers. Thousands of crows swirled above the city in silence, as if awaiting a verdict. On the ground, Belle Starr bled lightly from her temple, her dress in tatters, her gaze fixed on the man before her. He trembled. She smiled, a death smile. Behind her, shadows stirred with wings. And the silence at last broke. They want blood, and it won't be mine. If this scene stole your breath, imagine what came before. Pull the trigger on the mystery. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below from what city or corner of the world you're watching. Now, come back with me to the beginning, where everything darkened. Dust rained over Dead Hollow. The sun scorched the backs of the damned. It hadn't rained in months, but the wind carried a fine sand like a curse. At the crossroads of nowhere, a board was carved with a knife. No man's land. And no one dared disagree. Belle Starr rode in on a horse black as a moonless night. A worn saddle, boots stained with sin, and a necklace of dark feathers swaying at her neck. Behind her, only footprints the wind was already erasing. She wasn't just any stranger. Her gaze cut sharper than a blade. And the silence that came. With her, weighed like a coffin, she entered the saloon without asking permission. Eyes turned, the music stopped. An old man spat on the floor and muttered, "Another lost soul." Belle ordered whiskey and work, but not just any kind. She wanted information, names, roots, easy riches, and above all, secrets. That same night, 2 men left town with their guts spilling and pockets empty. A third vanished without a trace, and on the rooftops, crows began to perch. One by one, coal-black eyes, beaks stained with carrion. No one knew where they came from, but wherever Belle went, they followed. They spied for her, watched. And when she whispered a name in the dark of her room, the crows took flight. One night, in the desert beyond them, trail of the damned, she found the dry tree they called the Devil's Bones. On the highest branch, a single crow waited, huge, still. She climbed without fear. And there, in the silence between worlds, she made a pact. She would give eyes to the crows. They would give her dominion over the shadows. But every debt has a price, and the crows collect in blood. Belle didn't just want gold, she wanted power. The newborn towns of the West were like open wounds. Lawless cities, soulless men, lands crying out for a name to inspire fear and respect. She would be that name, not just a thief, not just a gunslinger, but the woman who saw everything from above, with the eyes of crows. After the pact at the dead tree, something in her changed. Her blood ran slower, her words dripped venom, and the birds followed her like loyal dogs. On every perch, eave or bell tower, a black spy, seeing what no one saw, hearing what no one dared speak. With the bird's eyes, she mapped stagecoach routes, hidden depots, stashes of gold and guns. She uncovered betrayals before they were whispered, anticipated ambushes, knew who slept with whom, and who would die at dawn. But her true plan was grander. Belle wanted control of the Sawtooth Trail, a narrow, treacherous gorge where caravans heavy with gold from the Iron Holy Mines passed through. Whoever controlled that route, controlled the pulsing vein of the territory's wealth. For that, she needed allies, not loyalty, fear. She assembled a gang of outcasts and condemned men, ex-soldiers, deserter thieves, bounty hunters turned traitor, nameless, futureless men. She called them the Empty Eyes. The promise was simple, riches or death, and all accepted. The first strike was at a trading post called Stumbling Hill. 7 dead, not a shot heard. The crows blanketed the sky, screaming like demons. More followed. Each fallen town was marked with a black feather pinned to the sheriff's door. A warning, a portent, a signature. Soon the rumors began. They said Belle spoke with the dead, that the crows whispered secrets in her ear, that she never slept. And on moonless nights, she walked barefoot along the trails, cloaked in feathers and shadows, asking the birds for the name of her next victim. But not everything was under her control, because the crows began to demand more. One body wasn't enough. They wanted sacrifices, rituals, blood for blood. And Belle's empire, once guided by the eyes of spies, now balanced on a razor's edge between power and curse. His name was Silas Granger. Where Belle was shadow, he was steel. A former captain of the Union trackers, a man whose past was drowned in blood and discipline. Silas didn't smile, didn't tremble, didn't retreat. His horse was grey as granite, his voice a restrained thunder. When bodies began appearing with feathers lodged in their eyes, the government sent men, rangers, hunters, sheriffs. None returned, but Silas didn't come by order. He came by debt. Years ago, Belle had killed his brother, not with a bullet, but with promises. She used the boy as a pawn, then left him to die tied up in a burning stable. Granger never forgot the smell of flesh and hay ablaze. Since that day, her name was seared into his memory like a brand, but he didn't hunt her like an ordinary man. He studied her steps, her roots, her attack patterns, the birds' movements. He watched the sky, not the ground, and that's how he noticed. Where crows circled, Belle appeared the next night. He set traps, cut supply lines, sowed fear among the empty eyes one by one. Men began to vanish. Rumors spread that Granger left iron claws embedded in his victims' chests, as if to say, "Crows don't peck steel." In a village called Broken Stone, Belle arrived too late. Utter silence. No crows, no bodies. Only marks on the ground, scratches in the shape of a cross. A message. Belle felt something she hadn't felt in years. Doubt. She tried sending the crows, but many didn't return. Others came back blind. Something was shifting. The connection wavered like a bridge in ruins. The pact, once solid as granite, now whispered demands she didn't understand. The birds' eyes were no longer just eyes. They were mouths, and they murmured in the dark. Atop Dry Creek Hill, Belle found what remained of one of her men, hung like a scarecrow, feathers sewn into his skin, and a note in his pocket. Shadows only rule where there's no light. Silas Granger was coming, and the crows no longer obeyed as before. The storm hit without warning. The sky tore open with lightning, as if hell itself screamed. The ghost town of Hollow Bend, long abandoned, was chosen by Belle as the final battleground. Ruined rooftops, windows boarded shut, roads of mud and nails. There, where no man dared tread, she waited for him, Silas Granger. The night before, she sacrificed one of her own, not for betrayal, but necessity. The crows demanded blood, and they were ravenous. A circle of black feathers formed around the makeshift altar. The birds screamed, and Belle listened. The vision came in flashes. Silas's silhouette, his gun gleaming in his hand, slow steps through the dark. The end was near. The next morning, the town woke shrouded in fog. The crows hovered, motionless, over rotting eaves. Belle stood in the middle of the street, alone, her feet sunk in mud up to her ankles, her hands loose, her hat shadowing her gaze. Silas emerged from the east, unhurried, wordless. 2 gunslingers, 2 wills, 1 debt. He stopped 10 paces away. The wind sliced between them like a blade. "You've lost control," Silas said, his voice like an open grave. "They don't follow you anymore. They drive you." Belle didn't answer. The crows began to stir one by one, letting out strange, almost human cries. Feathers trembled. The ground seemed to pulse. "I know what you did, Belle, what you gave. But they have no loyalty, only hunger." She raised her eyes and smiled, slow, cruel. "And hunger is something I can use." Suddenly, the sky darkened with wings. The crows dove like arrows, screaming, tearing the air with blind fury. But Silas didn't flinch. He fired. 1, 2, 3 shots. Each blast tore a shadow from the sky. But it wasn't birds he needed to kill. It was her. Belle advanced through the fog, a spectre among feathers. Her eyes glowed red beneath her hat. Her feet no longer touched the ground, or seemed not to. The birds cloaked her like a living mantle. She raised her hand. The crows stopped. Time froze. The duel, 2 shots. Thunder drowned the sound, and silence fell like a corpse. When the smoke cleared, Hollow Bend was nothing but silence and scorched feathers. Silas's body lay on its side, half covered in mud, his gun still clutched in a rigid hand. A crow perched on his chest. Then another, then 10, and none pecked. They only watched, as if keeping vigil, and Belle was gone. No tracks, no blood. Only a necklace of black feathers left on the step of the old church. And inside, carved into the wall with a knife, a phrase, "Not every shadow dies at dawn." The rumors spread like wildfire. Some say Belle vanished with the crows, carried off by the winds like a living curse. Others swear they saw her weeks. Later in another ghost town with a new gang, her eyes darker than ever. But no one knows for sure. One thing is clear: where crows circle in silence, someone will pay in blood. Her empire may have crumbled, but her legend grows. Because legends don't die, they just change names. And now, stranger, tell me, do you think Belle Starr died in Hollow Bend? Drop your theory in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, give a like, and let me know which legend you want to see next on the channel. The Western Trail is long and full of secrets. See you at the next shot.